Hi, this is Wendy Rich on Retrospectives, celebrating 25 years on the air on KC Radio 97.7 FM.
Right. They say some people are born for the stage, and I believe you had the performance bug at quite a young age.
Yes, definitely. Well, I started in theater when I was probably 8 years old. So I did several productions in the theater, and when I was about 14, I joined my first rock band.
And I believe you were quite an entrepreneur there, putting on shows for family and friends as a child.
Yes. Yes, we used to charge people like a quarter or a nickel, depending. And my sisters and I, we would sing little songs and do dances when we were very young for the apartment complex that we lived in.
How serious did you get about the theatre? Was that ever going to be a career option for you?
No, it was what my mother did, and she took me with her. She was an actress and a director in that theater, and I just was a tag-along, but I really loved it, and I just enjoyed doing it while I was there. But I really had the bug for singing. So I did a musical there, and I was just like, well, I want to be in a band, you know. MTV just came out, and when I saw that, I just knew I had to do that.
Yeah. Was there ever going to be any other career option for you other than music?
When I was really young, I wanted to be an equestrian, and I'd train horses. So, but I switched to rock and roll. Big switch.
Yeah. Is acting in the theatre, is that something you'd like to return to and try again someday?
I probably would, if the opportunity came up. And I was talking to the director of the play Love, Janis, which is about Janis Joplin.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been speaking to him, and if the opportunity comes up, I would probably participate in that production.
What was your mother's reaction when you told her you were going to pursue a career in rock and roll?
Well, at first, since I was 14, she was not very happy about that. But eventually, now she claims that she always supported it. But eventually, when I got into a blues band, she liked that a lot better.
Now, you're based in Florida?
Yes.
What took you there? You're originally from Houston. What was it that motivated you to make that move?
My sister was living here in Clearwater, Florida, with her husband and her kids, and I came to visit on vacation, and I was probably 21 or something, and I just decided to make a change and do something different because I wasn't accomplishing what I wanted to in Houston. I was probably partying too much a little bit, so I just did a move. It wasn't necessarily a career move, but just because my family was here.
Yeah, away from the partying, what was happening musically for you in Texas?
I had joined my first blues band in 1989, and I didn't know anything about blues. I'd been in a heavy metal band with influences like, Iron Maiden, and, well, I've always listened to Led Zeppelin and things of that nature, so I didn't know what to sing. And when I got in a blues band, they had to teach me a bunch of songs, but that was and then I got into it, and I moved to Florida, and I met someone that gave me an Etta James tape, and I really liked her voice a lot, and it fit my vocal range and style. I thought I found a niche in singing that style.
That was pretty much your introduction to blues.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I thought, when Led Zeppelin did You Shook Me by Willie Dixon, and that was about as much blues as I knew at the time.
Yeah.
But since then, I've definitely learned a lot, and I sing jazz sometimes, and but the songwriting, I just pretty much write whatever comes out. I don't really restrict it to one certain genre of music.
Tell us how the Soul Shakers came to be. It was all part of a regular Sunday night gig, I believe, of some sort.
Yes, the guitar player, Red, Steve Lassner, he started a blues jam on Sunday nights at the Ringside Cafe here in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I came along probably 2 months after he started this jam, and he was piecing together a band, and he had hired the bass player, Steve Way, who is still our bass player, and then he had a keyboard player at the time, Janet Street, and then I came along, and then we became the Soul Shakers, And well, he had already had the name Soul Shakers, and then it became Wendy and the Soul Shakers when I joined.
When did songwriting become a serious interest for you?
Probably, let's say 92 or 93, I started focusing more energy on it. I always wrote poetry and lyrics. And I wasn't writing music because I thought at the time, since I didn't play an instrument, well, I can't write music. Then a friend of mine was telling me, well, if you can write, if you're singing the melody, you wrote the music. And then I decided to get a keyboard and just learn chords by ear, and all my friends who are musicians would teach me something here or there. And so now I write everything on my keyboard, and I've been taking some theory, but I started focusing heavily on it, and I wrote Working Woman Blues was my first serious songwriting attempt. And that was just basic, slow blues, but I wrote the lyrics and put it together and brought it to the band. And that's on my Feels Like I'm Drowning CD.
Do you think your songwriting may have developed quicker or in a different manner had you learned an instrument at a much younger age?
I'm sure it would have helped knowing theory somewhat, but I really think that a lot of songwriters, if you can write songs, it's just a natural thing, whether you can play an instrument or not. And most of the good songwriters I know are not that good on their instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who, this is, of course, I'm not trying to stereotype people because obviously everyone's different, but a lot of the really virtuoso musicians that I've had the pleasure of singing with, they don't write any songs.
Right.
But they know all the theory, and they're awesome players. So, there's just different things, different people.
Sure. Have you found that now being able to play keyboard, has that changed the way you write in any way, do you think?
That's a good question. I think it's changed it a little, perhaps, but I still, just the melodies come into my head, and now I'm able to hash them out quicker and present them to the musicians quicker. So it's made me more efficient, definitely. And as far as the style, I'm not sure. I was debuting some new songs of mine last night, and one of my fans that comes to see me regularly, she commented that she thought my new songs were simpler, but that was just, she's not a musician, and I was trying to figure out exactly what she meant. I'm not really sure of it. I thought that was interesting.
Are you one of those writers that constantly carries notes and a book of ideas around?
Yeah, definitely. I have a notebook in my purse, and because I'll just be sitting there, especially when I'm on airplanes. That's when I think, because I'm totally bored. I'll think of all these things, and I'm always writing it down in a notebook. I have to have a notebook, and a lot of times I'll just remember the melody, and as soon as I look at the words, it sticks. And, I can remember the melody, and then I just pick out the chords on the keyboard later.
Now, you've done some co-writing with Sam Andrew from Big Brother and the Holding Company. That must have been a great experience.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. He came to my house, and, he stayed in St. Petersburg for a week. And he would come over every day. He had a definite method. He would throw out an idea, like a chord progression, and I'd come up with some melody and lyrical ideas and take some notes, and then we'd work on it like 20 minutes, and then he'd move on to the next idea. And we would go through, like, say, 4 ideas, and then, okay, he's done for the day, and he would leave, and then he'd come back the next day, and we'd pick up where we left off. But I think his theory may have been not to grind anything, into the ground where we just couldn't think anymore. And it worked really well. In the 4 days, we came up with 4 complete songs, and we recorded them.
Was that your first co-writing experience?
No, I had written with my former keyboardist, Janet Street, and 2 of our songs are on my Drowning CD. One's called Goodbye, and one's called My Baby's Gonna Be Mad When I Get Home. That's a fun song.
How have you found that experience? Is it you find a different way of approaching a song when writing with someone else? Or?
Well, yeah, because it's, they're throwing out a chord progression, and then I have to think of the melody and the lyrics on the spot. But it's fun any way I do it. But a lot of times when I write by myself, like, I'll just wake up with a song all in my head, the whole song. Like, I'll dream it almost, and just wake up and have to run to the keyboard and get a notebook. So that's more inspired, and sometimes sometimes when I'm co-writing, it happens the same way. In fact, recently I've been co-writing with a friend of mine, Rockin' Ralph Martin, and he wrote one of the songs on my CD as well. Don't Mean a Thing. It's his own song that he wrote, and I've always loved his songwriting. So we finally got together, and he started playing the chord progression, and I wrote this song like in 5 minutes. It just all just came out lickety-split. It just fell right together, and we were like, cool. And it's called How Do You Know? So that's going to be on my new album.
Now, you like to mix up your musical styles in your writing. Do you sit down consciously and say, well, today I'm going to write a blues, or today I'm going to write a jazzy type thing, or does that just become apparent once the song is being written?
Probably the latter. Usually it just comes out, like I said, it's just, it's in my head. There's this melody, and I've written all styles. And I could, I actually have, probably with blues songs, I sometimes try to sit down and, I better write a blues song, because my band is blues-oriented, and I write a lot of different styles. Like the pop rock seems to be my more common, just the natural thing that comes out of me. I also write some country and some jazz. But, so, I don't know if that answered that. Yeah. Occasionally.
Talk about your vocals. Would you say your influences are more male or female?
In the beginning, they were definitely all male. As a teenager, I was kind of a rebellious tomboy, kind of. Mm-hmm. Not a tomboy, but I was still feminine. But I wanted to get out there and just do the rock like the boys did. So Robert Plant was my first major influence. And he was definitely my favorite, and Paul Rogers. And but as I got into the blues, and I totally switched to female vocal influences, because I liked Etta James. Aretha Franklin, of course, is phenomenal. I like Bonnie Raitt, and there's just lots of people I like.
Somebody who is, well, as you say, quite comfortable on stage. Do you find the studio a less comfortable environment to work up a good performance?
No, I love the studio.
Love the studio too.
I totally spaz out at the studio. You could ask my engineer. He calls it the stream of consciousness, and they're always like afraid when I come in, because I'm just bouncing off the walls. I'm so excited to get in the studio and record my songs that I'm just hopping around and just like squealing and just making noises and being really crazy. For some reason, it just puts me in this most hyper mood, and I'm just like a 3-year-old or something.
So
really fun.
It's not a worry for you that there's no audience there to sort of to bounce off?
No, not really. I can't. No, the engineer can be my audience. And one time I was going to invite an audience to do a CD. This never came to fruition, but I wanted to have a select group, say invitation only, and 30 people. But my engineer was not really thrilled with the idea of all the people being in his control room, so we scratched that idea. But yeah, I'm sure it does help when people are there, because it helps you just be more accurate.
Now, there was a live CD live at the Ringside.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a pretty typical example of the Soul Shakers live?
Oh yes, that's we have 3 band members, guitar, bass, and drums, and it was just recorded live right there at the club where we've played every Sunday for the past almost 12 years. So it was a very natural environment, and it was relaxed somewhat.
Tell us a bit about the venue. It's obviously a long-standing venue in your area.
Yes, it's been voted best blues bar continually in Tampa Bay, because it's like an old 2-story house converted into a restaurant and bar, and it's a restaurant. It's also family oriented. We probably get the most teenagers showing up at our blues jam than any other jam, because it's a restaurant and children are allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice place. A lot of regulars, like that Cheers show or something. Everybody's there. The same bartender has worked as long as I've sang there, and the same waitress and waiter on my Sunday shift.
Yeah.
So it's a great place, and it's a nice community in general.
It
A lot
really.
of people support the live music and the arts, very well, especially in the downtown area, which is where I live. And it's just really nice.
And it really feels like home to you.
Yeah, it does now. I mean, in the last 10 years, this whole town's had a big transition with the coming of the baseball team, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Mm-hmm.
They moved in. There's a stadium down here, and then the whole downtown turned from a ghost town to this real hoppin' cool place.
Now you mentioned there's a new album in the works. What stage is that at the moment?
I'm still doing pre-production, and I have like 5 songs done. You know, pre-production. I'm still writing, so it's a little ways away from going into the studio, but maybe a couple more months, depending on how quickly I write songs that I think are, you know, up to par for this project.
Has a theme to the album become apparent yet, or a musical direction that it's going to take?
Yeah, you just read my mind. I was about to say that so far the theme has been kind of like heartbreak songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of calling it Broken, but that's not for sure. I'm still working on that song, and if it turns out, you know, a strong song, then that would be a good name. But I'm really happy about some of the songs that we've just finished. One of them's called This Time,
mm-hmm.
and I wrote that one myself on the piano, and I'm very happy with it. I'm excited.
You sound it, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, outside of your home area there in the States, what other parts of the country are working well for you?
In the Seattle area, which is where I'm going on Thursday with Big Brother and the Holding Company. I've played up there a couple of times, and they have like a tape trading thing. These people who like trade Grateful Dead live shows, and they trade all these live shows, you know, straight off the board.
Oh, yes.
And it's a big community of people. And they asked if they could use they had gotten some tapes off the board from my last 2 shows. There was one in Tacoma and one in Seattle last year with Big Brother and the Holding Company. And so I gave them permission to distribute them on their tape trading network. And then he asked if, you know, I'd supply some live Soul Shakers music, which I did. I supplied him with a couple of live shows, you know, over different time spans, you know, one from like 93 and one from, you know, 98 and then one from 2001. So they've been getting distributed all in the Northwest. And I've been getting a lot of email from that area, and I'm looking forward to going back up there. I've met lots of really cool people up there.
Terrific. What about outside of America? Any overseas interests at all?
I did play in Germany, and that went really well. And I would love to come to Australia, so...
We'd love to have you.
I'm working on all that.
Terrific. We have a great series of blues festivals down here in the early part of the year, and I'm sure the Soul Shakers would go down a treat, for sure.
Yes, we'd love to come there.
Now, what about future plans about your growing of your audience? Where do you see that growth coming from?
Hopefully all over. I'll be optimistic like that.
And just for our listeners here, can you just run through the background of the guys in the Soul Shakers, their work prior to?
Red, they've all just been playing for many, many years. And, you know, Red, he's just like my right-hand man. You know? He's a great guitar player, his influences. Some people might hear a little Allman Brothers style in his playing. But he's got a great teacher he's been working with, Brad Carlton, that he's very proud of. And this guy's an ultimate jazz player. And Red's been just picking up all kinds of new riffs and just expanding his style and ability. Dwayne Plakunis is the drummer. He's from Worcester, Massachusetts. He played with Joanna Connors there long while back. He grew up with her and her brother. And he's been in Florida since '95. He's been playing with us for 3 years. And Steve Way is from Colorado. He's a great bass player, and he's just been playing since he was a kid, and he's in his 40s. You see how much I know? I've been playing with them forever. It's great.
So you're very comfortable in that trio format.
Yeah, I mean, I just totally trust these guys, and they're very dependable and comfortable, and we just all fit together like, you know, like we're meant to or something.
Tremendous.
So that works for me. And
Okay,
sometimes
Wendy.
I jam with other people, around town just for
Yeah.
fun.
No thoughts of expanding the lineup?
Well, we did have keyboards for many years,
Mhm.
and it's only been in the last, I'd say, 3.5 years that we went down to a three-piece, and I would definitely be willing and wanting to add keyboards and horn sections if it came up where I could have all that. That would be great.
Terrific. All right, Wendy, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to speak to you and get to know you, and I'm sure, as I said earlier, you'd fit in beautifully with our blues festival season down here. So we'll put some feelers out to see if we can get something happening. It'd be fantastic to see you down here.
That'd be wonderful. I'd love to meet you in person, and I hope you get the packets that we sent again. I don't know about this U.S. mail system.
Yeah, I'm sure it's second time lucky. We'll get there this time. And
right.
Best of luck on the road with Big Brother. Give our regards to Sam. He's been a guest on our program in the past.
Great, I will tell him that.
Terrific. And hopefully we'll see you down here real soon.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, Wendy.
Okay, bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.